I'd like to call to order the Select Board meeting for June 21st, 2021. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is the acceptance and/or correction of minutes from 5/24/21 and 6/7/21. We'll take the 5/24/21 public and non-public minutes first.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 5/24/21 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It's a roll call. I have Mark,
Yes, sir.
Chet,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Collis,
Yes,
and myself, yes. And then we'll take on the 6/7/21 public and non-public minutes.
I'll make a motion, we do the 6/7/21 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Mark,
Yes, sir.
Chet,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Collis,
yes.
and myself is a yes. Did you want to start a few things, Derek?
Yeah, we've got Connors here as well as the DPW director, so it'd be really whatever your preference is, or I can get into the town administrator's report.
Well, if Connor's ready to go, he's here. Why don't we just go ahead and take care of him?
All right?
So our appointments with Connor Leva, I hope I said that right. Goffstown AmeriCorps Vista proposed for voluntary age-in-place home certification. Go right ahead.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's good to see everyone in person. This is actually the first time I've seen the board since I've been here. So the business before you guys today that I have is it's a proposed voluntary certification that will basically be applied to properties in towns that homeowners or new home builders want to apply to properties, usually probably single-family homes in town. And basically what it signifies is that they meet the certain criteria that are listed in the packet. It basically says that this home is age and place friendly. So what that means is that it meets certain requirements that as people age, they might have trouble going upstairs, opening different cabinets, even being able to access certain areas. And basically, it's to get people thinking early on, and basically making sure they can stay in the house as long as they can. It's totally voluntary, so it's not anything that's required. I've already talked with the building inspector as well as the town assessor. Building inspector would be willing to make these inspections, and they could just be coded into the town assessment software. And most of them, it's designed to be very open-ended. It's designed to be for new builds as well as existing homes, so there wasn't really a whole lot of adjustment you need to make if you already have a house. And if you're building a new one, there's a lot of really easy and low-cost options to make it so that the certification is really achievable. And ultimately we're looking to make sure that people can stay in their houses in Goffstown longer, because that was one of the biggest points of comment that we had even as far back as 2018 and before then. And the other goal is to ideally reduce falls, which is one of the main points of call for the fire department and other emergency services in town. So the real couple questions that we have today are, is this something that the board would look favorably on? Are there need to be changes if you guys look favorably on it? And then the other one is a fee. So this is all driven by AARP, and a couple of their proposals mentioned that there could be an inspection fee. I think in here I might have put a recommended fee, but it's up to you guys what that would be and how that would go. And then my personal recommendation is if there is a fee, allowing an elderly exemption in case someone is already at the point where they're aging in place.
Why does it necessarily have to have a fee?
Mostly, it was one of the recommendations from AARP, and it's designed just to be revenue neutral, since you'd be taking the time of the building inspector and some minor staff time to file the applications and put it into the system.
And is there any
other towns that have the same thing that have fees?
No, so actually, that's kind of the unique thing about this is that as far as I can tell, and I know some of the staff in the town hall also did some research, there's actually no other town in the state of New Hampshire, and not really any that I could find in Massachusetts that have this either. This is one of the recommendations that, again, is from AARP, but I haven't really found a town that has implemented it, at least around here. Some towns, like way out west, have them. And you know, they have assessing fees or inspection fees that were as high as $400, and then would attach, they would waive that or lower it if there was like a senior exemption, if someone was collecting like a senior tax credit in town. But around here, this is really the first of its kind.
Anybody have any questions? Let me ask you, I'll ask you a couple.
Go for
I
it.
always have the questions. What's the disadvantage of a plan like this?
Well, the hard part is actually getting it out there. For a lot of people, they just won't know. This is designed to really have very few disadvantages. It's designed to be really easy for people to achieve. I mean, really the disadvantage would be from the town's perspective, it just takes time. You'd have to implement a couple new services. You know, it'd probably be a couple more inspections for the building inspector, and the town assessor would need to take some time to add in those codes depending upon what they are, and you know, having a filing system and stuff like that. But they're relatively low impact. I've been working with Mark to, you know, develop an application and a checklist to make it go as quickly as possible. But for me, those would be the biggest downsides.
And it would strictly be Mark that would be, or the building inspector that would be handling these inspections?
That was the way it's designed right now. Yes, just because he's the one that's usually going into the houses and doing these kinds of inspections anyways, and he has the building inspector would have the institutional knowledge to be able to look at most of this stuff. And actually, he also mentioned that there's some things in here that are already up to code. So there's a lot of these are things that the building inspector is already looking for.
Okay. Derek, have you thought about this as far as fees go?
Yeah, I think if we were going to do a fee, we would do something around the $25 or $30 fee, which is similar to some of our other re-inspection fees. When the building inspector goes out and fails an inspection, it has to go out, we charge a $30 re-inspection fee. Again, this would be additional staff time. It would take staff resources to implement this, so I think that's an attempt to try and cover those costs.
Now, when it comes to AARP, weren't we one of the first ones in the state to get on that program?
Yes, yes, we were.
Yeah, this was one of their recommended, you know, steps for towns to take. And the list that I have on here, they have like a 10-page packet that goes over each individual room and things like that. This list was driven, but it's not as complete as their list, just because some of them were like very major renovations. So it would have priced out a lot of people, or made it almost impossible to actually get the certification if you have an existing home.
So just again, you covered this with Mark and he's on board with it?
Yes.
I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I don't mind being a leader in that field. And see, some of us are getting there.
Quicker than we want to.
So, question on the overall housing improvements. Will it be an issue if they have to move out of the houses? Who's gonna provide them housing if they're having to move out of the house? Is that something AARP is gonna provide, or who's going to provide that?
Are you referring to like can you be a little bit more specific on
Just looking at the list here, some of the major overhauls or some of the things that you're going to change, like 32-inch door openings, if the doors all need to be changed, or the countertops need to be changed, light switches need to be changed. I mean, can they stay in their residence while this is being done?
That's the plan. So that's why those ones, especially like the door frames and things like
Yep.
that, those are probably the most labor intensive changes that are included in here, just because for a wheelchair that's something that's really important.
Yep.
You know, accessibility. But there's nothing in here is designed to make it so that someone would have to relocate for a
Okay.
period of time.
Thank you.
And I think that's what this is. This is really a voluntary program. If somebody wants to get that certification, whether they're looking for resale value or just so they have that peace of mind so that they can age in their house. So if they don't meet the criteria, then I guess it's no skin off our back. It's really just the inspection fee to go out and just say, well, these are the changes you
Yeah.
have to make, but you don't meet them, and the homeowner would have the choice to not make those upgrades.
Yeah.
That's
and-
to get to a certification. You know, you sort of, that facility, that building or house, apartment, condo, whatever, would be certified, age in place or whatever we want to call it at the time, but I think it's the age in place
Yeah.
certification that maybe a builder or somebody who's rehabbing a house or, you know, may be advantageous for them to have that in a resale situation.
Yeah, and that's one of the unfortunate. I wish I had more data on that point, because I personally think that you could make that case as there's more adoption, but just since there aren't any towns that are around here or really have fully implemented this sort of stuff, that's not really a claim I'm comfortable making. But I think that upon further study and possible implementation, I could foresee that being something in the future, or at the very least, you're keeping people in their homes in Goffstown longer. And I do, getting back to your point as well, I do want to stress that this is entirely voluntary. The onerous is totally on the homeowner, so it's something that they would have to apply for.
Yep.
So if someone they realize, oh, I have to do way too much, they won't have to. It's not a big deal.
I understand it's all voluntary, but once you start the project, and, I mean, something you thought that was gonna be this big is now this big, I mean, you're halfway into it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you stop or do you move forward? And, that was my concern, period.
Yeah. So as the way it's written right now, if on the very low chances that it would get to be that size, there isn't any provisions
Okay.
that would cover that.
Thank you.
Anybody else got a question? Jim?
I'm just curious, there's a state statute that allows for over 55 communities, and I don't think it has any of these requirements in this. I don't know, I haven't looked at the statute in a long time, but I live in one and I don't see, any of these things. But that doesn't affect any of that. I mean, if a builder wants to implement these things, he can, but it's not a requirement for anybody.
Exactly. Yeah, this is designed to, it's really to get people thinking beyond the bare minimum so that they can stay in some place longer. Like when my parents were building their first house, they didn't consider the height of the light switches or the width of the doorways. And then when you have elderly parents that move, it's all of a sudden these things become real issues. So by being able to look at this early on, it's going a bit beyond what the state requires, but it's designed to make things easier in the long run.
Okay, thanks.
I'd be really interested to know, and you already said it, that we were one of the first, but really interested to know if there's a reduction in calls for falls and those kinds of things when this happens, and I think that would help us get the word out to other people to do that.
Yeah, I
We know
totally
that.
agree, and that was actually the primary driver behind this
Sure.
was reducing those calls and taking reducing some strain off the fire department.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody want, Derek, you need a motion?
Yeah, I
Or
guess
do you
I
want to
would.
wait till you get a better,
I guess I would ask for a motion to move forward with this program and bring it back for final adoption along with an associated fee. And I can talk with Connor as well as the building inspector and assessor about how long it'll take to set up the forms and implement. We can bring that final package to the board at a future date.
Okay.
so I think what you look for a motion would be like, to continue on with the program and research and the age in place certification.
Yes. Yep.
So I'll make a motion that we continue with the age-in-place certification process and move forward and discuss a fee.
Second.
Motion by Chet, seconded by Mark. It's a roll call vote. Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yep.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
yes.
And myself is a yes. So we'll continue on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Connor. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thanks for the presentation, Connor, it was great.
We did miss public comment in there as we started a little early. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on from that. DPW Director, RFP on the 10-wheel dump truck, body and plow. That is number 4 in your packet.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So yes, as the chair mentioned in your packets, you've got a couple sheets from our latest specifications for the upfit of the 10-wheel dump truck that was on this year's CIP. This is just the plow package and dump body. We've already acquired the truck, or awarded the bid for the truck. The town just received our completed 6-wheel dump truck from last year, so we held off on this advertisement in order to make sure that our spec, when put into practice, actually meets our requirements, and we didn't see anything that had changed that had changed for the worse. Having the truck now in our possession, we've onboarded the changes we had made to the 6-wheel spec with the 10-wheel spec. Pretty minor things, but a few things of note. Some differences in lighting package and the tarping system. We added a front anti-sail device, so it used to be the tarps would just be held at the very top and the very back of the dump bodies. The latest supplier has added a second arm to keep the front tucked nice and low down, so it keeps the wind from getting underneath it and then losing material. So we like that. So that was a big change for this. Small money monetarily wise, but it should be a big improvement for us on this new spec. We like the plow controls and spreader setups from Viking Civis, who was just awarded the 6-wheel dump. So we're happy with our specification to go forward, and then we'll see, of course, who bids on it and award here in a couple weeks. But the only other things I had for you before you vote whether or not to send this out for advertisement would be the CIP amount was $220,000 for this year. When we purchased the chassis of the truck, it was $126,275. They also will be purchasing the old truck from us when we get the fully upfitted truck. But the 6-wheel dump body last year, dump body and plow package, was $77,000. So we've got about $94,000 left, kind of earmarked for this piece of equipment. So I'm hopeful that even with the increased steel cost and plastic and everything else that's gone up recently, we'll still be able to afford the upfit. We do have a little bit of wiggle room. We have one piece of equipment left to purchase this year. Haven't brought that to you yet. It's the wheeled excavator, which we have earmarked in CIP as a used late model version. We've hopefully got enough to get something probably 2 to 3 years old right now. We'll see how these bids come in, and if we have a little extra, we can get something a little newer. If they come in high, we could go a little bit older with the wheeled excavator. So hopefully we're right where we need to be coming into these last couple pieces of equipment for the year. So with your permission, I'd like to advertise the RFP to include these specs, and then in a couple weeks we'll be back to you with a award recommendation.
Motion?
I got a question first.
Okay, go ahead.
On the wing, Adam, it says an 11-foot cutting edge, so the front push blade's gonna be 11 feet and the side wing gonna be 11 feet, so we'll be doing 22 feet of...
The side wing, correct on the lengths. The side wing, though, because of the angle, it can never get fully
correct.
perpendicular, so it kind of at that, you know, whatever it is, 35, 40
I don't
degree.
remember them being that long, but if that's what it's gotta be,
Well,
that's
it's at
what...
an angle, it's probably only 8 feet out there,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
not.
No, that's fine,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's the only question I had, I'm good.
Anybody else? Motion?
I'll make a motion, we allow the bid specification to move forward as presented to the select board tonight.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
Okay, thank you much. See you soon.
Want to go to department heads hiring?
Yes, please. So in your packet, you have a memo as well as some suggested change language to the personnel plan. Currently, under the personnel plan, department heads have the authority to hire seasonal employees. However, for full-time and part-time, regular, hourly, we bring the candidates forward to the select board in non-public, kind of talk about the process. Currently, the personnel plan allows us as department heads to do the recruiting. However, and I know the chiefs can talk about it as well as Adam can talk about it. Right now, the labor market, we are losing a lot of candidates between that final interview and bringing them forward for a non-public. We're having a hard enough, I speak for the fire chief, having a hard enough time even getting people to come in for that first interview. But we've had a couple where we've had that final interview, whether it's the chief's chief's interview or department head interview and say, okay, we're gonna take it next week, and the response we're getting is, okay, but I have interviews at other locations. So what the department heads have provided you is proposed language that would allow department heads to hire hourly employees only, both part-time and full-time. This would be up to a step 3 on their labor grade, with no changes to vacation, personal leave, everything that's basically in the personnel plan and the CBA. And if the select board at any point issued a hiring freeze for a department for a specific position or town-wide, this would kind of get null and void. There are a couple of checks that a department head that does want to do a conditional offer, they would have to run that offer by the town administrator or their designee. So again, working with Danielle, we would have eyes on that conditional offer to make sure it meets this for hourly employees. So.
How often does that happen? You can all come up one at a time, or all you can come up, that's fine.
I think as the town administrator said, this job market is something I've never seen in my career of working. If you didn't have a chance to look at the Sunday Union Leader yesterday, the amount of jobs that are posted in there was incredible. I'll just speak from the fire service. There are 50 fire or EMS agencies currently hiring. Some of those numerous hirings, up to 14 and 15 per department. Many departments are changing their standard, and I'll lean on Selectman LeMay. Manchester Fire Department, for a lateral transfer now, no testing, no written test, no physical test. You get in the door and you're getting a job.
Yep.
So that's something new and unprecedented that I've never seen before. So just this week we had interviews scheduled for tomorrow to create a list and or part-time. 2 people have already withdrew from the process because they have conditionals from other departments. People are hiring so fast now and going to each of our departments and trying to get people, and it's working. So we need to be able, in my opinion, speaking from the fire department only, I need to be able to get that person right after their interview. If that's the person we want, get them a conditional. Exactly what the town administrator said. If it was something out of the ordinary, I absolutely have to come to the board. I know that. But if it's contractually bound or pay matrix, it'd be excellent right now to be able to move quickly on these people.
Yep.
So that's just from the fire department.
For my part, I'll give Chief Serino a few minutes to think. Nothing, sorry, I turned this. I know from my perspective, I know of at least one in the last 12 months that we've lost based on the lag time. And sometimes, you just based on when they apply and when you can apply, interview them, you just can't plan to have an interview on Monday and be ready for Monday night. Derek's been kind enough to get last minute stuff up on Fridays, or if we do have an interview Monday, get it in. So certainly there's no lag time there, but definitely there's a lot of stress on the job market. And for my department anyway, compared to the uniform service, I've got the extra or different piece where I'm getting private companies are advertising even on the radio, hey, come with a CDL and you'll make $28 an hour right out of the gate. So the guys, even my own crew, are driving around on the radio and they'll hear all these advertisements that they only obviously share the good parts, which is the high pay. But so that's tough too. So we're seeing some folks come in either with CDLs that are in high demand, or for the entry level positions that we've got. They could go to Amazon or McDonald's, Walmart, anywhere, and make a fair amount of money, and some of them are making those job offers quickly. So I think from my perspective, I'll echo the chief as well.
Yeah. I'll echo both and Derek's comments. It's a little bit different for our agency, as many of you know, that we have to give the conditional offer of employment prior to us even giving a background check, polygraph, psychological, and medical clearance, which, depending on the timing of our polygraph, the psychological, and the medical, getting them in the door for those appointments could take a couple months. So, and then from there, they go to the academy and they come back. So it's almost a full year before they're actually useful on the road for us. So from my perspective, when I'm seeing the candidates come through the door, They are literally going through, we use a special website that is all the police candidate jobs, and these candidates are just going through and applying to every single position around. They just want a job. So when they're in there and I'm talking to them and I want to try to get them in, it's hard for me to say, all right, I think you did a good job, you're in the running with a couple other people, I'll let you know in a week or maybe 2, depending on the situation, and then trying to get in here, get that through the door, and then call them back. I've dedicated a lieutenant specifically who emails and keeps them on the hook constantly. I mean, he's doing it on the weekends, just touch a base, see if you're still interested, we're working this out, just to keep them feeling like they're, you know, we're still interested in them. So it's causing us a lot of, you know, I don't want to say manpower, but personnel power and hours to do that, but also part of that step 3, for me, it's just a little bit of wiggle room to, if someone comes to me with a little bit of experience, it might be good to, instead of step 1, step 2, depending on the situation, we're talking, you know, 50 cents maybe on the dollar. So, you know, from PD's perspective, in this current crisis of the market, we need this to help us kind of jump on that.
Any question, Mark?
Chief Allard, after the CPAT test is complete, do they still give the fire chiefs or the fire departments a list of availability of the candidates that are applying or could apply?
Great question. Yes, they do. However, this year, because we have a team in place with administration and our local e-board, different ways to try to recruit people, is I was the only fire chief that was at the CPAT exam this year. Every person that came off, I handed a flyer, an application, and my business card to try to actively recruit. So I'm trying to get ahead of the other couple hundred fire chiefs out there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
hopefully that will work. We're trying.
Okay, thank you very
Trying to
much.
get rid of the old one.
I know they used to give that list out, and the fire chief, I know in Manchester, Chief Kane, he would call me up in the office, hey, what about this guy? Hey, what about that guy? Hey, what about that guy? And then 5 minutes later, he's on the phone, you know? I'd either have him at Fire 1, Fire 2, or I'd have him someplace, or I knew about him, and that's, you know, that's how, one of the ways he used to work at one time. But thank you, Chief.
Chet, got any questions?
Just comment, universal staffing crisis. So I guess my question, there is a question, how much does this help? Is this, like when you think about, we get this through, we say, okay, go ahead, how much does it help?
It helps me, my agency personally, because I, just like he said, I'm sitting there doing my final chiefs interviews, and if I feel that out of these 3 candidates, this is the best one for our agency, I can offer that right then before they even leave the door and walk to Merrimack or walk to Manchester, and then I'm not waiting that week. I can get them in, I can get them signed up on a conditional, and then I can, they're hooked into us, and then we can do our, start our background right away.
Sure.
So for me, it just kind of gives me hopefully a couple extra weeks of getting them in and feeling like, oh wow, Goffstown wants me, they're grabbing me. So that's my perspective, it helps me a lot.
Understood, thank you.
Jim?
I'm just help me with this. So if they're conditional employment, that's not a contract or anything, they could still leave.
Yeah.
It's more of a psychological thing that right, they want me, and so I'm not gonna look anywhere else. That's what
That's
it is,
the hope.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Provided they accept the offer when you give it to them.
Sure.
Unless they say, I gotta go home and talk to the wife, or I gotta go home and talk to the husband about it, you know.
And in our situation, we could get to a point after that conditional, in that month or 2 after that, they're not qualified because they fail a polygraph, so we're kind of right back
Yeah.
to square one.
I think from the Department of Labor's perspective, though, it is a job offer, just conditioned upon X, Y, and Z, different for each department, what they have to go through to clear those last hurdles. But yes, assuming they do have an open offer from the town for employment. Yeah.
This is one of the selectmen's jobs, is to do the hiring, okay? I'm not against what we're saying. I think what we should do is say, because this is, we don't know if this is a blip or not, is to put this in place for 1 year, and we come back in a year and see if it made a difference. That would be my suggestion, because this board shouldn't be relinquishing that duty. That's one of our duties. So I'm willing to give it let's see what happens for a year and then come back and say, okay, it worked or it didn't work. Because we really shouldn't just be relinquishing our duties.
And not only that, at the end of the year, we could make adjustments or changes if anything needs to be changed or done. I mean, we can adjust it to fit the town of Goffstown. But
So-
I do like that idea.
Your motion, Derek, that you proposed the article, the recruitment and selection, effective July 1st to be reviewed, July 1st of 21 to be reviewed on June 30th or there at that meeting in 22.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation. So, up to you guys.
I think it makes sense. Any change we make gets reviewed anyway, right? So it will,
Well-
so I think that if that makes us feel more comfortable, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So somebody want to make that motion?
I,
Go ahead,
can I weigh in?
go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, I think, these certainly are difficult times when it comes to the job market. I think whatever we can do to position ourselves to react more quickly when it comes to meeting the needs of the various departments, I think we should do that. But I also think we ought to take it a little bit slowly. I like the idea of a pilot project for a year. I think that's a good idea. See how it works and revisit this rather than making it permanent right now.
Thank you, Carlos. Somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, Derek, on this motion, one other thing, we specifically probably want to put some parameters in, right? So simply saying something like, if the offer is more than what's already approved staff-wise, you have to come to the board. Like, what's the best way to say that, you think?
So
I think
what
they
I've
did step
provided
three, right?
you, what I provided
See it.
you in your packet are the proposed changes, and I'll just go
Oh,
through these for
highlight.
those
Yeah, I
that might
see
not.
that.
So one, that there's a current vacancy or anticipated vacancy. The select board has not issued a hiring freeze. The position is either covered by CBA or is a non-exempt hourly position. Salaried may not be hired without prior approval. The position will use the existing job description and number of hours approved by the select board. The department head will have to document the recruiting process in Article 5, Section 7 has been followed. Starting hourly wage shall not exceed step 3 on the appropriate labor grade based on skills and experience. Vacation and personal leave accrual shall not vary from applicable personnel plan or CBA. And then there's a note that if the department head determines they need to go beyond step 3 or any changes to any other benefits, that they would need to go to the select board at a future meeting. And then conditional offers of employment shall be reviewed by the town administrator or designee to ensure compliance with these provisions, CBA, and statutory required language.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the proposed changes to Article 5, recruitment and selection of the Goffstown Personnel Plan, hereby granting authority to department heads to make conditional offers of employment to hourly, non-exempt, full-time and part-time employees starting July 1st, 2021, to be reviewed June 30th, 2022.
Can you make this effective tomorrow?
Sure.
Only because if we've got any interviews in the next week.
I will happily amend the motion to do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Carlos, I thought, seconded it.
You seconded that, Carlos?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Roll call, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Carlos?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Town Administrator's Report?
Yes, thank you. At tab 6A, you have your committee meeting schedule for this week. And Wednesday at 6:30 PM at Grassmere Town Hall, we have the HTC.
Yep, all set.
And 7 PM here at Town Hall, we have Conservation Commission.
Do I have that?
Okay, on Thursday, 7 PM, we have Planning Board here at room 106 at Town Hall.
Yep, I have that.
Thank you. Your next page, you have employee status reports for GTV Studio Tech new hire. You have 2 lifeguards switching to head lifeguards for Parks and Rec seasonal rehire. You have 3 lifeguards as seasonal rehires, 1 camp manager, seasonal rehire, 1 previously lifeguard to camp manager, seasonal rehire. You have 1 camp counselor, seasonal rehire, 1 counselor in training to camp counselor, seasonal rehire. You have 1 lifeguard, seasonal new hire. You have 5 camp counselors, seasonal new hire. You have 1 counselor in training for Parks and Rec seasonal new hire, and 1 lifeguard, an additional lifeguard for Parks and Rec seasonal new hire. You have a call firefighter 2/EMT resignation. You have a firefighter 2/EMT resignation. You have EMT to firefighter 2/EMT merit increase, and firefighter 2 AEMT to firefighter 2 AEMT merit increase. You have rights to inter West Lawn Cemetery expansion, section S4, lots 220 and 221. West Lawn Expansion Cemetery, section S4, lot 208. West Lawn Expansion Cemetery, section S4, lots 206 and 207. Shirley Hill Cemetery, section S3, and lot 71B. You have event permits for the Library Skywatch on July 21st, 2021 at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. over at the Grassmere Water Precinct Field. You have the Goffstown Gallop.
I think that's, I'm sorry, it's not the Grassmere Field, is it?
I'm
Isn't
sorry,
it the
Goffstown.
That's the Village Water Precinct Field off of North
Yes,
Mass.
yes, thank you. The Goffstown Water Precinct Field, yes,
Yeah.
up in North Mass. You have the Goffstown Gallop on June 26th, is that correct, Rick?
Yes, sir.
From 8:30 to 11 a.m. At Parks and Rec Center. You have the Police Department National Night Out Block Party on August 3rd, 2021 from 5 to 8 p.m. This is the rear parking lot of Goffstown High School. You have a pole licensing request from PSNH. This is Eversource number 12-0890. This is dated, I'll have to check the date on that, located in Lynchville Park Road. You also have an odometer disclosure statement. This is for the 2013 Ford Taurus. This was previously signed on February 22nd of 21. That needs a signature of the chair. You have a New Hampshire motor vehicle title for DPW 2006 dump truck and bill of sale. And then you have New Hampshire State Library Conservation License Plate Grant Program. This is for the preservation of Town of Goffstown tax maps. This was approved by the board on May 24th, 2021. This is the application that will be submitted. It needs a signature of the chair.
Motion to approve the consensus agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Rick, how many people do you have signed up for the gallop?
Right now, we have 75. So we had 2019, the Wednesday prior to the race, which will be this coming Wednesday, we had 82. So we're not far off that mark for the online registration.
Thank you.
At your next page, you have the assessor's recommendations. The first is a report of timber cut and timber tax warrant, both recommended for map 1, lot 38, and map 3, lot 47-1. And then you have a land use change tax and land use tax warrant recommended for map 8, lot 1.
You have the motion?
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendation as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Roll call vote. Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
On that same page, you have 2 applications for service-connected total disability tax credit for map 5, lot 35-11B, and map 39, lot 13. Both applications were signed after the April 15th deadline for tax year. There were letters from both property owners indicating applications were submitted late due to accident, mistake, or misfortune under RSA 7233. The assessor advised both applications meet the criteria for late acceptance. If the board chooses to accept late, the assessor recommends granting the credits.
Motion to accept the applications for a service-connected total disability tax credit on map 5, lot 35-11B, and map 39, lot 13, late due to accident, mistake, or misfortune in accordance with RSA 72:33.
I'll second it.
Any discussion, questions? Roll call. Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
And then I would just ask you to do the second motion to...
Motion to approve the service-connected total disability tax credits on map 5, lot 35-11B, and map 39, lot 13, as recommended by the assessor.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. Roll call vote. Mark?
Yes, sir.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
Thank you. Your next item, volunteer appointments. The HCC met in May and recommended appointment and reappointment. So one would be to reappoint alternate Rodney Stark to the HCC with a term expiring March 31st, 2024, and then a motion to appoint Mark Collins as a member with a term expiring March 31st, 2024.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reappoint Rodney Stark as an alternate member to the Historic District and Heritage Commission with a term expiring March 31st, 2024.
Yep.
Motion by Chet, seconded by Mark. Roll call vote. Mark?
Yep.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
Motion
And-
to
Go ahead.
appoint Mark Collins as a member of the Historic District and Heritage Commission with term expiring March 31st, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. Roll call. Mark?
Yep.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis? And myself is a yes.
Your next item, the school district is preparing to go out for bid for propane and oil. In the past, the town has partnered with them to get more favorable rates. The propane would be for the heating season of 2022 to 2023 with an option for the heating season of 2023 to 2024. And oil would be for this coming heating season for 2021 to 2022. I'm just seeking authorization from the board to join with the school district and to authorize the town administrator to lock the rates in with the SAU.
Chet just made that motion.
I guess I did, yeah.
Seconded by Jim.
Yes, sir.
Motion by Chet, seconded by Jim. Roll call. Mark?
Yep.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. On that note, Derek, isn't there some kind of an infrastructure grant that may be coming through, or monies that we can use in infrastructure?
Yes, so on the meeting on June 28th, we will have a public hearing to accept and expend I gotta use my cheat sheet because I can never remember. The local fiscal recovery funds, which were made available under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. So that public hearing to accept those funds, Goffstown is due to receive approximately $1.9 million to spend between, I think it was March 2020 and December 2024.
And that was for water, sewer?
It was for five different categories. Support public health expenditures, address negative economic impacts caused by public health emergency, which could be households, small businesses, replace lost public sector revenue. I think what you're referring to is investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. And then the final would be provide premium pay for essential workers. So those are really the five criteria that those funds can be used under.
And as you all know, I'm a proponent of getting natural gas moved up this way, and where it's at the police station, and bringing it up into town. I mean, even if it got as far as Park Street and up into the school, it would save the town thousands every year.
And yes, that's something that we are looking at currently. If you just look at the 35,000 foot view, right now it's investment in water, sewer, and broadband. There may be some, right now, the U.S. Treasury is taking questions from the municipalities across the nation to try and figure out where in those interpretation can fit in the grade. So we will see if there are any questions about gas. We've been looking at it for some potential projects here. I've been in contact with at least one of the water precincts about potential projects. So you'll have the public hearing next Monday night to vote to accept and expend. We do not need to identify projects at that time, but that you want to follow the rules of the funds, the federal funds, and then we can start talking about what projects that you want to pursue with that, if you vote to accept and expend.
Okay, next.
Yes, the next page, you have a list from the town clerk. It was in the meeting room of all those residents of Goffstown that have failed to register their dogs. Currently, as of June 8th at 11:30 a.m., there were 467 unregistered dogs from 368 households. There is a requirement that the town clerk delivers this list between June 1 and June 20th, and asking the board to issue civil forfeiture letters, including a $5 administration fee per household to be delivered by first-class mail. So that's really the next step in the process.
And this is state mandated.
This is state mandated. This is not optional. It failed to make it into the packet, but you do have a copy of RSA 4614, and it says the town clerk shall annually between June 1 and June 20th. So there is, this is state mandated by.
Yeah, we don't have an option, it's something we have to do.
No.
I'll make a motion, we allow the town clerk and chief of police to issue civil forfeiture letters, including a $5 administrative fee per household to be delivered first-class mail by U.S. Postal Service to keepers of all unregistered dogs.
I'll second it, Peter. We go through this every year.
Yeah, I know. It's not something new to us.
Nope.
So I got a motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Roll call vote. Mark?
Yep.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
At tab 6G, you have a memo from the finance director. During the 2020 budget process, the board the recommendation from department heads was to include a 2% wage adjustment for non-union wage matrix. That was included in the budget, presented to budget committee, and part of the approved budget. Just for Selectman Craig, your benefit, MRI came in and did a wage classification study and presented that in 2016. That was implemented in 2017. In 2019, the budget included a 2% wage adjustment to adjust all those wages across the entire matrix. So this would be following suit to adjust that matrix once again across the whole wage matrix.
Thank you.
Need a motion?
Make a motion to accept the proposed 2% wage matrix adjustment for regular non-union personnel effective July 1st, 2021.
Second.
Motion by Chet, seconded by Mark. We'll have the roll call vote. Mark?
Yep.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
And the final item I have in the town administrator's report is the acceptance of easements for Woodland Village. This is map 4, lot 87-6 and 87-6-1. This is the project between Mountain Road and Bog Road. The easement, they're a result of site plan approval by the planning board. It includes a conservation easement and a walking trail easement. And in your packet, you have the easement language as well as maps depicting the location of the conservation easement and the walking trail easement.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, Peter, I'll make a motion to accept the conservation easement and the walking trail easement that's detailed in the select board's packet for the Woodland Village development, and that is located on tax map 4, lots 87-6 and 87-6-1, and authorize the select board chair to sign the documents as required.
I'll second that.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Jim. Do a roll call vote. Mark?
Yep.
Jim?
Yes.
Chet?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes.
Keeping us on our toes by switching the order.
I did that. I was just trying to catch you.
It's got both of us.
That's all that I had for town administrator's report.
Department head updates. Let's start with who lives the furthest away? Adam.
Finally paid off. I did
have a non-public, but that might be moot now that your vote earlier changed things. I guess I'll talk to Derek on the side after this. Okay, so, hi again. For DPW update, quite a bit of progress on the road plan since we last met. I think I might have mentioned a couple of these already, but I'm just going to run down what we've done so far. Hollyhock, Sari, Big James Lane, Shirley Hill Road, Range Road, Horizon, Langen, Black Brook Road, Walnut, Portage, Parker Station, Shirley Avenue, Shirley Park have all been either reclaimed or overlaid. Pollard Road and Rockland Ave have both been shimmed and are awaiting top, so Continental, I hope, can get back this week and finish those two roads. And then along with that overlay goes a lot of road shoulder, so now we've got several miles of road that need gravel to bring up the shoulders to height. You'll see as you drive around town, some of the fresh black asphalt's got a pretty good drop off on the side. So we're working as fast as we can to get those all shoulder, but it takes a lot of manpower to both on the loading and hauling end, but also the operation of the equipment on site. We have a machine that straps to the front of the loader. It's got a conveyor built in, and we load gravel material, and it's like a rolling chain of employment there. So we load the shouldering machine, and it conveyors off to the side, and then that's spread out by a couple guys on the ground, and then we have a roller that follows it up, and they can make pretty good headway, but it does take up a lot of people, unfortunately. So making our way through that, and as we approach the end of spring, trying to get our spring work list done, so now we can focus on our larger, more labor-intensive reclaim projects in Pinardville because of all the utilities and driveways and other traffic issues in Pinardville. We don't like to get that done early in the season because we're getting pulled in so many directions right off the bat. You can't just drop Pinardville right in the middle of a project for a week and come and say we'll see you in a week and come back. We like to get in, hit it, and stay on it until it can be done. So as we wind out of the spring season and start getting some folks back, looks like probably right after July 4th we'll be into the Warren Pine Hill neighborhood and start hammering away there. Hopefully not as much hammering as they are doing at the development across from the villa. That's a lot of rock over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the road plan update. The Wallace Roundabout, so that's on our radar as well for the summer while school's out. We've done some preliminary discussions with the curbing contractor, so they have an idea of how much the job's going to entail. One of the things that we'll need to kind of nail down is what the traffic plan is going to be, and if they're going to come in, work one side of it, and then finish and then flop over, so we can do alternating one way around the roundabout instead of shutting it down completely. We may have to do that as well. But also the other thing that's on the table is, the plans that you had seen from the VHB report were pretty high-level type stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of detail on there. So, okay, now that we've plotted out where we think the footprint of some of those adjustments to the roundabout curb lines and cobble go, what does it actually mean to the abutters? There's plantings that were done as part of the another acronym, the ARRA project years ago. It's a shovel-ready deal. Anything that was done then, some of that might need to be undone. So there's, arborvitae, there's hedges, there's mature trees. So we're trying to avoid as many mature trees as we can and still, accomplish what the board's intent is and try to make those truck turn movements actually work over there. So we're talking mainly with the abutter at the edge of Shirley Park because that's going to be the most impact for the actual sidewalk. That's going to shift 4 to 5 feet over as you enter the roundabout heading westbound.
Just one thing on that.
Yes, sir.
If you can't finish it before school starts, don't do it.
Should I answer it?
Yep. Hi, Collis.
Sorry, Derek, the call got dropped on my end.
Okay.
You missed everything. It was real great, Collis. I did a great.
Roundabout is solved.
I did a great job. The board voted 4-0-0 to give me a raise too. Yes, we're going to have a bailout plan if it does seem to get late in the season for whatever reason. We're actually going to, normally we wouldn't, we're going to order cobble from one of the landscapers in town. So we have it on hand rather than wait for the cobble contract, the installation contractor to purchase it. So one less step in the game, that we don't find out at the last minute, oh shoot, somebody cobbled 10 miles of, a mall in Salem and there's no cobble left to be had in New England. We will take a look at that as well. If we need to, we'll try to chip off the two biggest impact areas were the center island, kind of making that into a more of a oval shape and smaller. And then the second biggest impact would be that entering curb line adjustment. So we'll tackle those two, and if we have to bail on the rest, so be it. It'll be a heck of a lot better than it is already, for sure. Let's see, staffing, we talked about that briefly already, but we had another resignation since the last meeting, so we're down two full-time candidates right now. Good news is, since the board made the adjustment to the ability for us to hire seasonal applicants who are below 18, we have had an applicant who's in the pre-screen process right now. So at least 1 out of 8 positions hopefully will be filled here shortly. But it is a tough market for seasonal folks too, no different than full-time for sure. So we're going to keep advertising, and we'll take them late in the game, even if it's only for a month and a half. That's, it's a good amount of work. So if anybody out there listening or watching at home has any students who are 16 and up, please give us a ring, and we can put them right on a mower. Let's see. Commodity pricing, so as no big surprise to everybody, but pricing for everything is going up, and lead times for everything is going up as well. Bureau of Labor Statistics said 24% overall, and I believe that for sure, but in particular for us, plastics and petroleum products, 180% increases from where they were a year ago. And then steel, that was a little bit high anyway due to the tariff impositions last year, but that's gone up another 60 to 75% on top of the increases we'd already seen. So we've already started to plus up some commodities just to try to get things in hand and at least get that order placed, because we know we're going to need it. So things like pipe, cutting edges, filters in the shop, trash and recycling barrels, obviously being plastic, tires, paint, traffic paint for the road lines. They're talking 6 weeks plus to get it in right now. We've tried a few different vendors, so a few things are going to be kind of trickling in as they go, but we're going to try to stock up if we can. Auction vehicles, we've got those 4 vehicles, 3 Crown Vics and the 4x4 Ford Ranger that are out at auction right now on municibid.com. I spend a little bit of money to advertise our auction. If you have a social media feed, you've probably seen a million ads from Goffstown DPW. So we spent $100 and we boosted the post, which gets that more people in our radius aware of our social media post there that we had an auction set up. I think, I don't know if it's just Municibid or if it's the fact that we've pumped it up or both, but we've had between, depending on the vehicle, 30 and 70 bids total, which is pretty high. Normally we have 4 or 5 that we open when we do physical bids. Of course, some of those are multiple bids from the same person, I'm assuming. But it looks like no matter if they close today, we'd still be much higher than, by thousands in one case, higher than we normally would be for vehicles. So far I'll say we ought to use this going forward to get the most bang for the taxpayer buck on the sale. And then finally, recycling costs. I'll end with some good news. Might remember last year we were 78, I think was our highest point last year on our recycling fees across the scale when we would get rid of single stream. So we're not making a revenue anymore, but not only were we not making revenue, we were paying 70 plus. As late as March, we were paying $50 plus per ton. In June, our rate dropped all the way down to $24. So the bad news on the commodity end is good news for recycling markets, because the raw material shortage means our paper products and plastic products and tin cans are making more money. So we're down to $24 a ton. That's great. I don't think we'll see a revenue this year, but what do I know? It's 50% from where it was 2 months ago, so it could swing pretty quick. So, so some good news there. Hopefully we'll be under budget at year end on that one. I think that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And thanks, Collis. I know you were off for that big major vote you missed, but it's good.
Thank you much.
Fire Chief?
Good evening again, everyone. Great to see everyone in person. It's been a very long time. It's on the emergency management director of the EOC side. I just saw recently our active cases in Goffstown be 1 to 4, which is the lowest I think in well over a year. The statewide cases continue to decrease, and we're issuing an updated notice that we're actually going to close our partial activation of the EOC. That should be notified on public soon.
It's on the website.
It is on the website, thank you. So that was issued out earlier today, so we stopped that. On the fire department, as we've said earlier, we talked about staffing. We continue to have a daily staffing shortages, and then the recruitment issue. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. We're trying to fill shifts and spending a lot of time every single day doing that. So that's been our number one priority. And on top of that, our call volume is on track to be the highest it's been in the last 5 years. It's about 12% higher right now. And then we also have our inspections, fire inspections and life safety inspections. Those are on the rise also. We really haven't even got into some of the developments that are going in town that will probably ultimately have additional calls for service for us. So those are some of the challenges we've been having recently. We did finish up our last vaccine clinic with the SAU a week or so ago. That was a really positive experience for a lot of people. The PFAS DES issue that we have going on at the fire department, the foam potential. We've still been working with Novus Engineering out of Concord. They're working on a proposal to give to DES. Sounds like DES is willing to work with us. They've been really great as far as not financially impacting us this year. There is I believe some test wells that have to be drilled probably before the end of the year, but those will probably come out of next year's budget. So more to come on that. I don't have all the information yet on that. That project's still moving forward. Coming up on the vehicles out of service, we do have engine 2 out of service. So we actually had a tank malfunction, so the water tank, actually there's a seam that let go. Fortunately, that is under warranty with that company. What we're not sure of is the task of taking the truck apart to pull the tank out to fix it. The deputy chief has been spending an awful lot of time talking with the local truck representative and that tank manufacturer to ensure that there is no cost to the town of Goffstown, because it's not our fault that the tank let go. So those are some of the major projects kind of going on at the fire department.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Towers back?
Tower's back?
Towers back.
Looks fantastic.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Rick?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Jay?
Excellent. Let's see, we're in full swing. We're up to our neck in alligators right now. We got both camps are running, Roy Park, Barnard Park, 60-20 at one and the other. Got Barnard spread out pretty good with a nice 20 by 40 tent pavilion. That was working out pretty good today, actually. Staffing wise, we just fulfilled 9 of the staff for playground. As you heard, we've kind of upgraded some kids from a CIT to a counselor because we needed to have 8 hours worth of time with them. Lifeguards, still we only have 7 out of 10. We're moving forward with it. We have a pretty good plan. Out of the 8 weeks, yeah, there might be a blip in the road here or there that we're going to have to maybe close down for a day or something like that. It's amazing these folks still need vacation time as opposed to working too. So you got to kind of work with those schedules as well, and we'll go from there. We are open if anybody's listening. If you're certified as a lifeguard, please give us a call. Glad to bring you on board. If I knew of a class that was going on for certification, I'd steer you to that if you were interested in becoming a lifeguard. But unfortunately, those avenues have kind of dried up a little bit. Not to say that if you are interested, if I can pull it off, I'll try and find a way to pull it off. So give us a call. Gallup will be this Saturday. As I just said earlier, we got about 75. Actually, I just looked, 77 right now, registered, pre-registered. So that's about what we had 2019. We had 82-ish the Wednesday prior to the event. So that's all ready to go. Facility-wise, we patched the main drain leak at the Roy Pool. It's not 100%, but it's pretty darn close to being as full as we can get it. The groundwater, I showed Peter a picture of the groundwater pushing up on that liner, and it's pretty amazing. So we got that. The problem that you're battling with the pools is you have all the skim plates are all rotted, so you got a little bit of leak in there. So where is your real leaking coming from? You could probably spend an 8-hour day going around with red dye and find all kinds of leaks in various cavities of that pool. Both pools, that's just the way it is. So we're up and running there. As I said, we got the tent for the Barnard Park, so that's working out really good. Staff-wise, I kind of basically said that already for the play for the summer for our part-time seasonal kids. We're all set there. And our 3 full-time people, we're working, we're good, we're all good.
Any questions for it? Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead, call us.
Look, down at the sports complex, the row of arborvitae, or I should say the row of dead arborvitae, what's our recourse on that? Isn't there a performance standard or a guarantee on survival on those, or where do we stand with those? Because they're virtually all dead.
You are absolutely correct.
I think that's, Derek, I think that may be a legal non-public type thing.
It could be, yes. Selectman Adams, Rick and I are working together on what our options are on that, so.
Okay, thank you.
But on that note, the shed was delivered down there. I forgot about that. The shed was delivered, so that we're pretty much close to closing that up.
Excellent, thank you. Eric?
Yes. Again. All right, so for the PD, I'll start with our vehicles. They're on order since April, and Ford has told us that they have no idea when they're coming in. So
We don't have any chips.
What's that?
They don't have any
They
computer
don't have the
chips.
chips, right. So as most of you know, last year we ordered R3 and it took almost a year to get them. 2019 we had the same issue. The really good news though is our outfitter has all of the parts and equipment in stock ready to roll. So as soon as we get them, we're going to get them down to Hudson and get that done. So that's a really good thing for us. Staffing levels, we have our new moms coming back to dispatch, so that's good for us. The dispatchers have been slightly low staffed due to the women that were out with their new babies, so they're coming back. We have one in background, as you know, so that's really good for us. On paper, patrol-wise, operationally, we are fully staffed. We have 2 in the academy. They're starting this is their start of their 8th week, so they're doing very well. Other than that, we're healthy. We're doing well. We're pretty good. Glen Lake is picking up, so we've been over there proactively helping educate the public. Rick has done a fine job of putting more and more signs out there, but we're still finding that just today was a mess. So we're over there dealing with that as it comes. And the rail trail, we are down there. We've upped our patrols. Our bike officers are getting a couple more that are certified. So I'm sure that the public will see more of us in the rail trail day and night. So that's kind of the quick update on us.
On my way in, I saw a kid on a Honda 50 running down the rail trail.
Was it an e-bike or was it?
No, it was a Honda 50.
Was it really? Yeah.
I had one of those when I was a kid.
Usually they're pretty good about calling us, and then we got to figure out where they went. So.
Anybody got any questions for the chief?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Derek, you want to cover town hall?
Sure, I've got 2 facility items to update you on. And you have a printed memo in your packet, but the big unit for upstairs was delivered. It had 2 forklift holes in the condenser, so that got sent back. The replacement unit was supposed to ship on Friday. I didn't get a chance to check with the HVAC company about that to see. So in the meantime, we did purchase some portable AC units for land use and town clerk. Also, as you're walking out this evening, I'd ask you to take a look at the stair treads. We did not budget for that in the 2021 budget, but we simply cannot wait any longer for that. So we're currently getting quotes for doing all this stair treads at the rear and the front of the building. They're getting dangerous. Roger has done for a couple of years, done some gluing and epoxy to keep them together, but they're just at a really bad state. So we need to move forward with that. Grassmere Town Hall, the Moose Plate grant from 2020, Curtains Without Borders has been on site and repairing those. They're going to be there again tomorrow and Wednesday, and we should be hanging those on Wednesday. So the hand-painted stage curtains are going to be up and fully preserved and restored. And then Danielle and I have been working hard on the coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds that we talked about earlier, participating in webinars and reviewing the interim final guidance on all that so we can understand that and guide the board.
Okay, thank you. In your packet, we have a Goffstown Public Library update. Jim, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? I mean, we can read this, but is there anything in the meetings?
I read it, and that's pretty much what they did.
That's pretty much word for word, right? Those meetings don't last very long. Anybody got any questions or want to have any information? Seeing that?
No. Well, they did go before CIP as well, the library. Yeah, and they're working on getting fundraising going and everything, and so for in a couple of years, they're gonna try to knock down the amount of money they're gonna have to come to the town for their expansion.
For their expansion, okay. So I think the next thing would be we cover old business. We did make a presentation to the county, and I guess it would be safe to say that they're working on it. That be,
Yes.
county commissions are working on it.
Yep.
Review of the personnel plan, we kind of hit a little bit on that, but is there anything, Derek, you want to talk about on that?
No, I know the departments have been doing their surveying, so, and the two other surveys that we're going to do, I've got them in a final draft form, but I haven't shared with the department heads yet, so I'll be bringing those forward to you.
And what's the story with Mr. Ernie Smith? Is that done, or?
So we have a donation value, so it's going to require a public hearing.
Right.
We're targeting public hearing on July 12th for acceptance of that donation. And DPW has provided me with the draft easement language, just got to update it to the plan that just came over from his surveyor last week. So, but that will be all buttoned up on July 12th.
And the grants?
I did put back on the town hall curtains on here because this week we'll be finishing up the project, and then it'll just be the final reporting that we have to turn into the state. And then the other item is the assessing one, which the grant application will be signed this evening,
Yeah,
and that'll get sent in and submitted.
And we already talked about the fire engine, warranty repairs to the tank, and then the backup solid waste tractor. Adam?
No, it didn't get picked up today, so I still expect it this week.
Okay. Anything else? Is there anybody here from the public? Seeing no public comment, we'll close the public comment and need a motion. Oh, wait a minute, can we just, do we want to talk about this?
If you want to, yes. Normally it's just for the chair to review, but yeah, if you wanna go through that, I have no problem with that.
So, every year I'm given this form that we have to go through and ask if we have anybody. I'm sure Mark's done it, Collis has done it. Are you aware of any actual suspected fraud or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to let everybody know if they have a problem or if they know, please reach out to me really quickly, and so I can fill this form out and get it back in. All right? Motion?
Motion to go into non-public session, RSA 91A 2-A for dismissal and compensation B hiring. Anything else besides that, or is that it?
No, that should be it.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Chet. That's a roll call. Mark?
Yep.
Chet?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the meeting. We'll be going into non-public now. Thank you.